What's going on, y'all? It's Big Facts again, coming at you with another video. So with everything going on in the NBA, there seems to be some strife going on between the players. Players seem to be divided between who want to come back and resume play or who wants to sit out. Now, recently, Utah Jazz player Ed Davis had spoke about on USA Today about the whole issue of Black Lives Matter, COVID, the NBA returning and, its effects and implications. Now, this whole kick started off of, a Friday evening call with 80 plus NBA players who spoke about, the NBA returning, and NBA superstar Kyrie Irving featured right here. He led the forefront in being one of the players who did not want the game, who did not want the NBA to return. He felt because of the systemic racism and because of the whole Black Lives Matter movement that the NBA returning would take away, the spotlight from that movement, take away the spotlight from what's the racial oppression that's being brought to the forefront in this country. And honestly, emotionally thinking, you would definitely react to it and say like Kyrie's right. However, after reading this article and seeing what Ed Davis spoke about and coming to understanding without the emotions, Ed Davis is in support of the NBA returning, and I have to say that I am too now after reading this. I was once with Kyrie Irving on the whole NBA players sitting out, but after reading what Ed Davis had to say and speaking about this and analyzing it, I'm in support of the NBA returning. Like I've said in other videos, and I've constantly said this, the best way to correct, the systemic injustices that have been happening to Black men in this country, the United States of America, is through economic empowerment. Now, Ed Davis has spoke profoundly in which he has said a lot of these players, are not in the same situation as a LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Dwight Howard. They have not made the $100 million, Not all of them have made that type of money. A lot of them are basically, mid-level type of guys. And this is their first chance at generational wealth. All right. The money that they're making as a mid-level player, 5 million, 10 million, 7 million, wherever you may have it, 15 million, maybe at most. This is your chance to change your course of generational history and to help economically empower not only yourself, but future generations of your family. And like I've said, the best way to correct this is through economic empowerment. Period, point blank. All right. So I'm in support of the league returning because if they do not return, the whole CBA will be ripped up. All right. It will be done. Just as they said, because the league will be losing money. They make money through their not from the fans coming to the arenas. No, they do not make money that way. They make money from TV revenue. TV being viewed, like, their contract, their deals with TNT, ESPN, other networks across the globe that are showing the NBA, advertisement. If anybody doing any research on advertisement dollars, you'll see advertisement money has been dramatically dropping because of this whole lockdown of COVID. Now you add in the protests on top of that with COVID, and then you want to protest and sit out and not play. That's going to take a major hit to the NBA. And the NBA, the way they market themselves, they're a top-heavy-driven league, meaning they market their stars, Kyrie, LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi, and if those players aren't playing, nobody is watching, period, point blank. Nobody wants to see a bunch of D-League players come out there and play. If that was the case, the D-League will be rivaling the NBA in terms of top product. So, like Ed Davis said, this is their chance at economic, generational wealth. Cannot argue with him on that. This is Ed Davis featured right here. And he's quite right. He even spoke about it right here to throw down the drain because of quick emotional decisions. Everything that former players have worked for is just not a smart thing to do. Players like Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, they worked to make this game global. They worked and proved to show that, the Black athlete can be marketed worldwide. And look at what the league's salary cap has grown to. Now, if they don't play, then the cap drops. And players like Donovan Mitchell, his teammate, stand to suffer because players like Donovan Mitchell aren't making $20 million a year. He's up for, a contract extension. And if the cap drops, his contract extension, I believe, is what they said in the article, was somewhere around 160 million, potentially 160, maybe 200 million. Yes, Donovan Mitchell, who's looking at a $160 million contract, but he might only get 90 million if the cap drops. So if they don't play, then the salary cap drops. 160 million to 90 million. He misses out on $70 million. Tell me, how many people are making $70 million in a lifetime? So we as a community have to come support these athletes, all right? We have to help be assets to them in this struggle. Not everybody is built to be Ali, all right? Not everybody is in that situation. People don't realize that, yes, Ali sacrificed a lot. He gave up boxing at the prime of his career because he stood for what he believed in. But you guys have to also realize Ali, at the end of his career, after everything, he had to sell his name because he didn't have anything to show for. Now, where was his community then to help back him up? The Nation of Islam took from him. People forget that. He stood 10 toes down for the Nation of Islam, but they also took from him and left him having to sell his name to be able to make money. This is what happens. So we can't do that and handicap our athletes. This is just like, how you see in a lot of black homes where they kick their kids out at 18, expecting them to make it on their own. But like at 18, 20 years old, even up to some people in 30, you can't, with the way things are and how expensive they are, you can't survive out there. You're going to have to help nurture and groom your child, be that sacrifice for your child so that they can establish themselves economically and don't have to start the race 10 steps behind the rest of their counterparts. So if we put that on the players and making them have to sit out, they miss out on tons of money. That's assets that could be pumped back into their community. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, will they do it? And they actually have rights. They have every right to feel that concern, because a lot of times people say like, oh, they need to play. They'll put the money back in the community, but don't end up doing that. They're off at strip clubs, pouring money on strippers that are not even from their community, or buying jewelry from people that are not even from their community, and the rest of the people get left behind. But hopefully this will shed light and put people on Front Street and hold people accountable to what's going on. Say, yeah, we support you in going to play, but we're also going to remember that how we supported you, and we expect you that after the season, you come back to your communities and you help invest in these communities. You take some of that money, those assets that you've garnered from the people you claim that are oppressing you, and you help pump it back into your community. Invest in startup businesses. Invest in mom and pop shops in your community. Primarily Black-owned mom and pop shops. Because the small business is what generates, the entrepreneurs and small business are what the economic engines of this country. They help create jobs and opportunities. So we have to look at it, like I've said in previous videos, economic empowerment is what is going to save the black man in this country. That is what's going to end systemic racism. Because when you are economically empowered, they're going to respect you. All right? They're going to respect you. And like I've said, right here, even in an article, that hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's what it's creating generational wealth. And that's what it's really going to help the black community. Generational wealth is what's really going to help the black community. Ed Davis said this. And the minute I seen this, I said, man, this guy's right. I said it. This guy, Ed Davis, is right. They need to get back there and play. Because not everybody is going to have this opportunity. And it may not be him to make the change, but it may be his son who may not go to the NBA. But because his father was a millionaire and set up, he doesn't have to start 10 steps behind. So let's support our players. Let's get back into this. Let the NBA start. Make sure they're practicing proper social distancing tactics. It's going to be hard, but sacrifices have to be made. You're going to have to be in that bubble. Go out there, make that money, and come back and support your community. But I want to hear what y'all have to say. Like, comment, subscribe down below. I'm out.